So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming, in the league that means absolutely nothing here on the channel, one of the mainstays of this channel going forward. I'm your host and voice for today. My name's Az, the editor, the curator, the genesis of this whole league's inception. The league that means nothing but now means something bigger, better, means even less, like Ian says. Love you, mate. Hope you get better soon. Leave a comment in the section below for Ian. Let's make sure he gets better soon so he can get back in the casting desk. And I sent him a microphone as well, so his audio quality should improve. But still hasn't arrived yet, which worries me. But anyway, we've got an interesting match today. We've got Daniel Gomez on Riptide versus Daniel Wallner. So the Battle of the Daniels on Kassai. This should be an interesting one. Two heroes. I don't really see too much meta representation right now, but the players that play them are very, very sort of into the hero, if that makes sense. And this should be an interesting one because Riptide's traps will trigger quite a lot against Kassai, because Kassai likes to buff her weapons, which is obviously one of the things, one of the clauses that Riptide's traps operate off of. And she can go wide with Go Again as well, and also can play a lot of reactions, which also get turned on some of the traps. I think the Spike Pit trap cares about reactions, if I remember correctly. So there's quite a few things that Riptide can play into in this game, so it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Before we do go into it, please stay tuned to hear a message from one of our sponsors. Cheers.
The league that means nothing is brought to you in part by the Sigillit Games. Go and check them out on Etsy. This is one of the altars that you can come to expect from the Sigillit Games. Shiny foil treatment to the back of Flesh and Blood cards to really spice up your battlefield. Make sure you go and check them out when you can, and use the code GAG4ALTS to get 10% off your order. Cheers, Toby. Let's get back to the tournament.
So it looks like Daniel has opted to go first here, and immediately pitching a Codex of Frailty into the Dreadbore to load in the Endless Arrow of +1. Dreadbore just basically a Riptide specialization at this point, just making arrows really, really hard to block with defense reactions from hand. But it looks like it's just going to be a setup turn, just making the use of that Dreadbore to load in that Endless Arrow face up, so we do get an additional Arsenal zone from the New Horizon. So essentially operating with 6 cards now, Daniel Gomez. So that's a pretty cool little start there. And then we got Daniel on Kassai with a fantastic Blood on Our Hands playmat. And starting off with an Emboldened Blade. So we're going to be able to turn that face-down card face up and destroy it if it is a defense reaction, which it is. So getting some nice value out of the Emboldened Blade there. Getting rid of that Inertia trap. So that's pretty cool. And obviously the next weapon attack will get +1 as a result of that trigger resolving, which is quite cool. Daniel playing with the Hot Streak and the Centauri Saber. So just giving Riptide a little bit more to think about in reference to whether he can allow the Hot Streak to gain Go Again innately, or whether Daniel does have to give it Go Again through other means, which he is going to have to do with this Blade Runner. So this gives the weapon attack Go Again. Obviously the next weapon attack gets +2, and obviously this Hot Streak is going to be coming in for 2. So Riptide is going to take that. Sorry, 3 because of the Emboldened Blade. So immediately going down to 35. Riptide starting with a lower life total than generic CC heroes. And now we see the second Centauri coming in for 4. And if it's defended by an attack action card, it gets +1 till end of turn. We are going to see a Feign Death. Interesting. Haven't seen that card for a long time. Used to be one of my favourites. Albeit, you know, not the most effective card in the world, but nice to see, at least. I still haven't blown out a Kano with this card. But, I mean, that's the thing. These days, if you're getting hit with spells, you're already taking the damage that you need to prevent anyway. But we are seeing a Ravenous Rabble come in for 4 with Go Again, revealing an Endless Arrow on top, I believe, what I saw there. I was speaking about Kano for some reason. I completely missed it. But yeah, 4 Go Again, being blocked by a Blade Runner for 3. And it looks like Daniel was going to be taking the 1 here. And then following that up with a Merkmeyer Grapnel for 4. This is coming in and not really doing too much to Kassai in terms of its text, but still just leaking another damage over. Daniel still got the spare Arsenal zone, but had to use all the cards from hand there. And Daniel's just going to tick up the tunic and come in with a C&C, pitching a yellow. So a nice little turn, making use of some of the 3 blocks in hand last turn, then just sending back an interactive C&C, which will threaten to blow up Riptide's Endless Arrow. So very, very effective against Riptide as well, because obviously Riptide does have a lot of D-reacts that you can't play against Command and Conquer. It'll be interesting to see where that card lands as a result of the legendary reprint. But we are seeing a Lace of Inertia be played. Riptide trigger, reload, and we're going to fire... Wow, okay. Quite a large arrow. And obviously this is the beauty of Riptide's ability, being able to reload, basically, off of a card that you play from hand, which allowed Daniel to put the Searing Shot into the arsenal for nothing, play the Premeditate, and then fire the arrow for quite a significant amount of damage. And, yeah, Kassai is taking the full amount here, but should have taken an additional one from the Searing Shot, which was not recorded in-game. We'll see how much that matters later. And here we, post-production has put in a message there to remind either myself or Ian that the other player allowed Daniel to basically block on those Valiant Dynamos, because he's going to get the value out of it anyway this turn. Looks like he's going to be swinging twice, which means that it just makes sense to block with that most of the time. But we are seeing a Gorganian Toe be played here, so he's just going to draw a card. But obviously when you draw a card with Kassai, it means that your attacks with your swords are free this turn. So that's always good. So Gorganian Tome just says your sword attacks are free this turn, and it replaces itself. So definitely a staple in Kassai decks. You probably won't ever draw more than 1 card off of this unless you're playing UPF. Does that format still exist? Probably not. But we are going to see a Spoils of War be played here, pitching a Blood Run Wine. So obviously we've got 2 floating. And obviously your next weapon attack gets +2 and go again. So front loading the next sword attack, which is going to be free as well. Don't forget. So Daniel's not going to have to spend any resources that he's got there floating to attack with the swords this turn. And obviously on hit, we are going to get some copper as well, which can be relevant in certain situations. But this hot streak coming in for 4 now. And obviously, this doesn't inherently have go again, but it can do if it's defended by 1 or more attack action cards. Then it can obviously get go again as well. So just giving the opponents additional things to think about. That's coming in for 4. We still haven't seen Olympia's signature weapon yet, have we? It's a bit of a shame. But we are going to be playing a run-through, so obviously that attack is going to get go again. And then obviously the next attack is going to get +2. But we are seeing a boulder trap in response. And this is where Riptide can start getting some value. The boulder trap will trigger because obviously the attack has been buffed, which means Daniel will take 1 damage from the Riptide ping, and the boulder trap is going to trigger and put a -1 counter on the Iron Song Versus. So that's a very, very cool trap. And we are going to play a Take It on the Chin. Alright, so we're going to prevent that Riptide ping by taking it on the chin and creating an agility token. Okay, that's an interesting play. Preventing the Riptide ping, and obviously as a result getting that agility for next turn. That's quite cool. May as well play it now, I guess, while you've got the resources. Well, the resources doesn't cost any resources, does it? Don't know what I'm talking about there. It's definitely worth using. And we're going to funnel that resource into the Iron Song Versus. And the next attack comes in for 4 because of the run-through behind it. And the on-hit is active for Copper and Courage. Copper and Courage. That sounds like a card. And another boulder trap. Wow. Okay. All right. Getting some really good value out of those boulder traps. Just taking the Iron Song versus defense value out of the game there. Pinging Daniel for 1. And we are going to see an in the swing on top of this as well. So it's going to come in for 7 instead. So looks like Daniel's going to be leaking 3 here. Because it's fully blocked currently. But then with the in the swing, it's going to be able to leak 3 on that. And we are going to get the courage. And we are going to get some copper as well. Which is pretty nice. So that's pretty good. We got an agility for next turn as well, which is nice. And obviously the Valiant Dynamos will refresh because obviously Daniel attacked twice that turn. So it made sense for him to just say, right, can I just block with this card because I'm going to get it back anyway. So going over to Riptide's turn, we are seeing the Trench of Sunken Treasure be used to sink that card to the bottom and gain a resource, which is going to be used to activate Dreadbore to put in this bolt and shot and fire it off for 5 with Go Again. But I think that is the only play that Daniel does have this turn, just firing that off for 5. But it's not a bad salvo. It's not a bad salvo. Daniel Walner doesn't have an arsenal right now. So just happy to throw back a 5. No D-React can be played from hand, because obviously Dreadball's ability. And Daniel just thinking, what does my next turn look like? I'm going to have Go Again off of the agility. I'm going to get +1 from the courage. Got some copper to play over. Got gold to play over as well. Got a little bit of cash behind me. But can I raise the army to destroy Riptide? We will see. We will see. But thinking long and hard about this 5, Daniel is just going to take it. Take it to the face. Now, oh, okay, we did have another play. Another Falcon Wing. All right. So the bolt and shot reloaded the Falcon Wing into the arsenal, and then he was able to fire this as well for 3. Okay. Not sure if Daniel accounted for that, but there we go. That's the on-hit of bolt and shot for you. Just allowing you to reload a card and fire another ranger attack. But we are going to see Daniel's turn start with the agility here. So the next thing he does will gain Go Again, which is always good. So agility is sick because obviously it gives Go Again to anything, which is always good. Similar to how a Quicken works. Daniel just thinking, how do I construct this turn with the next thing having Go Again innately? We are going to look at our graveyard and trigger Kassai first of all. So banishing 2 red and 2 yellow, and then next time weapon control hits, you get a gold token. Now, this is cool because it basically stays in play the whole turn. So if you hit, the next time you hit, you get a gold. So here we go. This is now coming in for 3 with Go Again. So obviously the courage and the quicken will crack on the saber swing. And Riptide is just going to throw 6 underneath that by the looks of it. A Stone Rain and a Heat Seeker. So just covering up those +3s that might be in Daniel's hand. Denying him the on-hit gold. But now we are seeing the hot streak come in for a simple 2 damage with 1 floating. Daniel still has 2 cards in hand here. Stroke of Foresight. All right. Pumps it up to 5. And obviously we can... we don't get the trigger on this because there's no reprise. So it's just going to be coming through for 5. Unless there's something else. Okay, in the swing. Coming in for 8. Wow, that escalated quickly. 8 damage coming through on Riptide. That's going to put him down to 17 life. Okay, then we are going to get a second gold, because obviously the Kassai trigger. And we're just going to Arsenal and pass. Not a bad turn. It's a great thing about reactions, as we know from the Hunted being released recently, how powerful reactions are and how much agency you lose. You think you're taking 3 and suddenly you're taking 8. Pretty ridiculous. Sorry, 2. You think you're taking 2, but it's actually 8. But we are seeing, okay, we are seeing the utilization of the Stone Rain and the Sharpshooters. Stone Rain was part of the Armory deck, which I managed to spoil somehow. Managed to spoil the whole deck list. I think I'm, maybe the first creator that's able to spoil an entire Armory deck, so I'm very, very happy of that achievement. But yeah, Stone Rain coming in for 7 damage, which is quite a lot of damage. But the issue with Stone Rain, especially when comboed with things like Seek and Destroy and Lace of Inertia, is that the opponent, as far as I'm aware, can order the triggers, so they don't actually lose the card. Like with Seek and Destroy, you'd have to destroy your hand and arsenal, but with Stone Rain, you would get that card back. So obviously you banish a card face down, and then you get it back into your hand at the end. Yeah, you wouldn't have to do that. You can just choose to Seek and Destroy yourself, and then you get the Stone Rain card banished back, and then you can just Arsenal it. So the Stone Rain does give you a bit of anti-synergy with things like Seek and Destroy and Lace of Inertia, because you're just banishing a card and giving it protection against the trigger, essentially. I'm not sure whether I've explained that well enough. But, yeah, a bit of anti-synergy between the Seek and Destroy and Lace of Inertia effects and Stone Rain. But still, this is coming in for 7 with Dominate and threatening some interaction. So we'll see how Daniel decides to block this. Chucking in the Dynamos. So that suggests that we are going to see 2 swings with the swords next turn, and we are taking the rest of the damage. So Daniel is going to have to banish a card face down. And we will have a inertia trigger. So at the end of Daniel's turn, he's probably going to choose to trigger the inertia, then trigger the Stone Rain to get back the banished card, and then Arsenal it. That's probably the ordering that we will see here, because of the way Stone Rain works with that. But we are going to crack a gold using the Tunic and a Pitch. We are going to play a blue Precision Press, pitching a Raise the Army with 1 floating, and then a Dauntless. Okay. I have never seen that card be played before, so that's interesting. So this next sword attack is going to have piercing 1, and then +3, and then defense reaction cards going to cost a hero additional 1 to play against them. So that's good against Riptide. And then we are going to see an Unsheathed. So obviously that's going to give the sword attack +3 and go again. And of course, because obviously Daniel's cracked the gold this turn, these sword attacks will be free, which is always good as well, because, yeah, that's pretty nasty. Coming in for quite a considerable amount of damage. That's coming in for 8 with piercing. And D-Reacts will cost 1 extra to play because of Dauntless. That's a really cool sword attack. I've never seen anything like that before. A piercing Dauntless Unsheathed. So Kassai's basically unsheathed her sword, sharpened it, and then thrusted it into Riptide here. And Riptide's just like, yeah, okay, I'm going to block with 2 cards. The Centauri Saber gets pumped, and obviously we leak 3 damage here, and then the Hot Streak is going to come in as a Chain Ender for 2 damage on the end, and Riptide's going to take that as well. Wow, okay, very cool turn. And now we're going to see the Lace of Inertia trigger I'm assuming Daniel's going to choose that one first, and then he's going to choose the Stone Rain trigger to come back to hand, and then Arsenal it at the end of turn. So yeah, just a bit of anti-synergy, unfortunately, between Stone Rain and the Lace of Inertia and Seek and Destroy-esque effects. But otherwise, quite a nice interactive card, which works off of the aim counter mechanic. But yeah, that's a pretty sick turn from Daniel. Constructed there. And obviously, we have bought 2 cards out of the hand of Riptide as well. So that's another thing to consider, that Riptide's only going to have 2 cards to crack back with. Daniel's still sitting pretty with some cash there on the field. 4 copper, 1 gold. There's a bit of discussion between these 2 players. Not sure what about, but maybe they're just having a whale of a time here in the league that means absolutely nothing. But maybe something eventually. We'll see. But that's it. Yeah, Daniel draws up to 4 and passes over to the other Daniel on Riptide, coming in with a Ravenous Rabble, revealing a Rain Razors. So that Ravenous Rabble is going to come in for 3 with Go Again. Daniel now knows Rain Razors is coming at some stage. And the opponent just allowing Daniel to remove the Valiant Dynamo counters there, because obviously we did swing twice last turn. It's a league that means nothing after all. And fair play to Daniel as well. Daniel saw that there wasn't any Kassai being played in this league, and he was like, yeah, I'll play Kassai. Why not? His round 1 was absolutely savage. We didn't actually televise that. We didn't televise Daniel's round 1 because it was against Kano, and as you can imagine, Daniel just got burnt to high heaven on that game. But we are just going to be taking the 3 from the Ravenous Rabble, and then we're going to be following up with a Codex of Frailty. This is a good card against Warriors, because obviously the Frailty tokens does really affect what they can do on their weapons. It's not going to interact with Daniel's hand because he's already established an arsenal, but we are going to see the Endless Arrow come back, which is going to come in for 4 and threaten to return to hand and give us some inevitability if Daniel does not respect the Endless Arrow. Daniel's armor has been whittled down by the boulder traps previously, so the main blocking potential off of the Iron Song, or the upfront blocking potential, was whittled away in that 1 turn with a double boulder trap. So we can't cover this with armor. We have to throw some cards in front of this. Daniel is going to be able to replenish the arsenal anyway because of the Ponder token. So going to be interesting to see how this is respected, if at all. Makes sense to throw the dynamos in there whenever you can, because it looks like Daniel is just going to be swinging both swords each turn. It looks like there might not be any further blocks. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, okay, there we go. Blocking with the blood on our hands. Okay, so that's one of those gone. But a clean block, getting rid of that Endless Arrow, but Riptide able to fill the arsenal because of the Ponder trigger regardless. Daniel's going to start his turn by ticking up the Tunic and just checking the graveyard, see if we can banish anything with Kassai. Doesn't look like we can, though. Right now, at least. So starting off with a hot streak, pitching a Glint the Quicksilver, so 2 floating, coming in for 2. And if it's defended by 1 or more attack action cards, it's going to get Go Again this turn. But we are going to Blade Runner it anyway, so it's coming in for 2 as a reaction. Is there any other further reactions? A Frailty Trap. Oof. Yeah, so that's going to trigger, that's going to ping. That's going to ping Daniel. And now that hot streak is coming in for 0, because obviously he's already got a Frailty token there. Completely forgot about the Frailty. It is represented on Daniel's side of the board, so with that additional Frailty, it's going to hit for nothing. And now the next sword attack is going to get -2 as well. That's pretty nasty. So it's just going to be coming in, for 3 on this Saber because of the Blade Runner buff. Right? Yeah. Or was it a yellow Blade Runner? I can't remember. But it's blocked either way, by the looks of it. Frailty did a great job there to stem some of that bleeding. And obviously, we haven't seen too many pings from Riptide, but we are seeing a Trench of Sunken Treasure, which is going to be used to player line it up, which is going to reload from Riptide's ability and then come in with a drill shot for 7. And obviously this will have piercing 1 as well because of the aim counter that is on it. Because line it up will turn that card face up, which is pretty good. 12 playing 10 here, as Riptide fires a 7 power arrow over towards Daniel. And this could be getting dangerous for Daniel now, having to block and prevent damage at the same time. Taking it on the chin, though. There we go. So that is fully covered. So that is fully covered. Nice work. Good stuff. Did we miss some Riptide pings last turn with the frailty traps? I'm not sure. Leave a comment section below. I'm sure if we did miss some stuff, people will point it out. They're always good to do that, right? But there we go. Daniel's turn is going to be starting off with an agility, cracking off. And let's see what he fuels into that. It looks like it's going to be a hot streak for 2 with go again because of the agility, which is going to be blocked by a lace with blood rot. And then the second Saber coming in, at least being gestured to come in. No? Can we attack with anything else? Probably not. But yeah, there we go. Another Saber coming in for 2. Good thing about warriors, they always have weapons to swing. And that is going to be blocked by a tar pit trap. This one won't trigger because this Centauri Saber does not have go again. So, begs the question as to why the tar pit trap was not used on the first attack, which did have go again. Not quite sure why that happened. Why that wasn't used, but there we go. Ravenous Rabble revealing a drill shot coming in for 4 with go again. But obviously the 4 damage is met with a classic sink below, covering that up. We have seen a new staple printed in the Hunted, though, with the Shouter from the Storm, a new D-React, which can act as a damage prevention mechanic across multiple pings, like Kodachis and stuff like that. It is a very, very good card, and everyone's picking them up right now. It's very, very good. Definitely a new defensive reaction staple. And Kassai goes up to 1 tunic counter to 3, so she can use that if she wants to. We are going to activate Kassai first of all. Banishing Blood on the Hands, Blade Runner. Take it on the chin. And something else that I didn't see there. Obviously, this means that the next time that Kassai hits, she is going to get a gold token, which is always good. Coming in with the hot streak, first of all, for 2. No go again currently. Oh, wait, there's Blade Runner. Standard procedure. Blade Runner, one of the MVPs in Kassai decks, both in Blitz and CC. So obviously that's coming in for 2. Riptide is just going to take that 2. And obviously the next attack will now get +3 because of the Blade Runner's secondary text. So we're going to see a Centauri Saber for at least 5. Unless we have an upfront buff. But Kassai just happy to just do valuable stuff. Swing weapons and put out raw numbers. Efficient numbers, I should say. Okay, alright. So we chose to CNC rather than swing the saber. So, interesting, because we are going to trench that away. So instead of just getting it destroyed, Riptide does have that ability, or Rangers have that ability, to trench it away if they do have that. So a bit of protection there. But the New Horizon being cashed in now to block 2 of it, but take 4. Daniel has taken the lead in regards to life. But don't let that fool you. Riptide can get people into a tricky wicket with the traps at his disposal. Kassai draws up and it's over to Riptide now. As we carry on this game, both these players 1-1 in the league right now. Starting off with a Seek and Destroy, Premeditate, and Drill Shot. So again, another nice line made possible by Riptide's reload-esque effect. So coming in for 10 with a Seek and Destroy trigger, a Ponder on hit trigger, and a Drill Shot trigger on hit. Azalea? Is that you? Is that you? All these on hits? Alright, so we are going to block for 4 by the looks of it. So we're going to see any further blocks. That's going to take 6 in this transaction. Going down to 4. Wow, okay. So we are going to have a Seek and Destroy trigger. And a Drill Shot trigger as well. That's just going to go onto the Valiant Dynamos, which Dan's already blocked with. So, making the use out of those Valiant Dynamos now, because he's probably not going to be able to get those minus counters off quick enough towards the end of this game here. So the only blocking potential Dan has left on board now is the Tunic, which still is sat at 1. So it looks like that's going to be cashed in fairly quickly now. Let's see what happens. Daniel is in the danger zone now against Riptide because a lot of Kassai's cards will get turned on by Riptide. Sorry, Riptide's cards will be turned on by Kassai's cards, I should say. But we are starting off with a hot streak. Coming in for 2. Needs to be paid for, though. So we're just figuring out what we can do. How we pay for this. So we haven't drawn a card yet, so sabers are not free. So pitching a Blade Runner. So pitching a blue to come in with the hot streak. Floating 2, blocking for 2, glinting. Alright, so obviously we do see a reprise trigger here, because obviously the blood rot is blocking, so we are going to draw a card. And give that hot streak go again, more importantly. Well, is the go again more important? The go again is definitely more important here. But yeah, we are going to draw a card. Currently fully blocked right now. And then we're going to raise an army. Okay, this could be the turning point for Daniel now. Going to sacrifice 2 gold to get 2 Centauri Sellswords. This could be an issue for Riptide now. Allies are Riptide's downfall for sure. I remember playing Riptide in the League That Means Nothing Season 2 against Jay, who is doing very, very well in this season as Vincent. And it was the demon that killed me towards the end. And we are seeing the Centauri Sellsword coming for 3 here. Because we have attacked with a sword already this turn. There, that's going to be deadly. So, because another Centauri Sellsword is going to come in after this as well, right? Yeah, attack for 1, attack for 3, go again. That's awesome. Warrior token mercenary ally. I've never seen this be played before. I've never seen a raise the army resolve before. Only in the league that means nothing can you see interactions like this. Centauri Sellswords attacking. And here we go. Here's another one. Here comes a Tuscan Raider number 2. We are seeing the block with the trench and another lace with. So these Centauri Sellswords really getting their money's worth. And then coming in with another Centauri Saber, blocking with what looked like a Murky Water. Has been taken back. Tripwire Trap, okay, yep. So it's going to fully block the sword, but no triggers or anything like that. Oh, no, wait. No, it will trigger, won't it? It will trigger regardless. This one triggers regardless. I keep forgetting. So this one triggers regardless. Yeah, so he's going to take one damage from Riptide, because that one triggers. All the crew traps will trigger regardless of whether you fulfill the condition or whatever. They just trigger anyway. So that's that. But still, having the 2 Centauri Sellswords out is dangerous territory for Riptide. But at the same time, so you can destroy trigger there, just remembering that. But at the same time, I think Daniel put the Seek and Destroyed card to the bottom of the deck rather than the graveyard. Or well, I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, both players in a tricky spot now, because Daniel only on 3 life. That's only a couple of traps that he has to play into, and he could just die. Could just die by playing and trying to close the game out. And Riptide is still throwing attacks his way. I mean, this is a massive attack coming in for 7 because the Dreadbore. So Daniel's still having to craft a defense here, but then mount an offense which could kill him as well. So Daniel's also in a bit of a spot of bother right now. Mercenaries can still trigger traps, can't they? It can trigger the go again traps at least, I believe. But we are seeing a full block. Obviously, Warrior making the most out of their 3 blocks there. And the Tunic finally going under the bus. To prevent that 7 damage from going through. Murky Water's got quite a good on-hit as well. Shuffling those... shuffling one of those random traps back into your arsenal. Most likely guaranteeing a ping is a deadly thing, but luckily Daniel didn't let it hit. But we are seeing the Kassai be activated, and then we are going to play a Spoils of War, followed by a Centauri Saber. This is coming in for 4 with Go Again. And obviously we are going to be able to follow up with the Centauri Swing after this. But it doesn't look like we've got anything else after that. So... looks like we're blocking with a line it up and taking 1 damage. Getting a copper. Or 2 copper, I should say. And now we're coming in with the Centauri Sellsword, by the looks of it. Daniel just checking things over. Oh, we can't... is that coming in for 2? Why would you just not attack with the sellsword then? I don't understand. Why would you just not attack with the sellsword? Why would you just not attack with the sellsword for 3 instead? Okay, yeah, because you want to refresh the dynamos. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, so Daniel thinking that the 1 block on the dynamos is worth just swinging for a little bit less. It could be what we need to do here, because this is coming in for 7. So that, again, is a dynamos block and 2 cards from hand, potentially. Wow, this is really going down to the wire here, isn't it? So it looks like... Yeah, it looks like that decision paid off. Wow. Yeah, so 2-3 blocks and the 1 block from the dynamos preventing the damage going through. That's really, really good call there. I was like, why are you not swinging with the sellsword? It's 1 extra damage, but the value is in the defense right there with the 7s coming in. So that's cool. Now, this is a good start. Cracking the gold. That means the sabres will be free this turn with 1 floating. Turning that hit and run into a resource, plus my attacks are now free this turn, plus whatever card it is that you just replaced it with. A hit and run blue. So exactly the same card that you pitched. But now this is coming in for 2 with go again. The next attack... Does the next attack... No, it's not Blade Runner, the one, isn't it? Hit and run is if you've attacked twice, I think. It gets +1. Or if you've already attacked this turn, it gets +1. But the Tar Pit Trap is going to trigger here. And the next time an attack action card hits, this turn effects will not trigger. Not sure if that is going to be a relevant piece of text, but the Riptide ping is relevant. And now we are seeing the Centauri Sellsword come in for 3 with go again, which is going to be blocked. And then obviously the Hot Streak is still... doesn't cost anything to play. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to see another Centauri Sellsword come in, pitching a Heart of Fyendal, which doesn't trigger because they're both on the same life total. That Centauri Sellsword is being blocked, and then this last attack with the Hot Streak is free because of the gold that was cracked earlier. And we have bought the entire hand of Riptide, and this is going to be a hard position for Daniel to come back into offensively. But that being said, a trap could still kill Daniel at this stage. That's really interesting. Daniel has to play into this. Daniel has to play into the potential trap killer. What an interesting spot to be in here. CNC would be helpful right now to just guarantee, or Dauntless, to guarantee that you can't really play the D-reacts that you want to. Well, even though Dauntless still allows them to play them, but at a cost of an additional 1. So, yeah, CNC would be nice to see right now, but Daniel's going to have to play into it. He's going to have to play into the traps. A lot of these cards will trigger the traps as well. So an Unsheathed is being played. Next sword attack gets +3, and if it's greater than twice its base, it will have go again. So yeah, this is coming in for 5 with go again, likely to trigger a trap or so because it has greater power than its base. All right, okay. 2 cards being chucked in front of it. Doesn't look like we've seen a trap. We are going to see an Iron Song response. Is there a response? Nope, he had a Codex and a Premeditate in his hand. Wow. Wow. What a game that was. That could have been anyone's game towards the end there. Daniel had to play into the traps that Riptide definitely has in his deck. Didn't really see as much traps as I thought we would, and I think we may have missed the Frailty traps pinging at that stage in the game. I'm not sure, though. We'll have to go back and go back and check. But still, if things are missed, they're missed. It's the league that means nothing. Who cares? It all means nothing, but could mean something to someone, I guess. Hopefully the viewers. But thanks very much for sticking around. Thanks for bearing with my commentary. It's quite late at night, so maybe a little bit slow and stuff. But there we go. It was good fun. And only on the league that means nothing do you see matches like that. Centauri Sellswords coming out. Great stuff. But yeah, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell notification. Is that still a thing? I don't know. I don't do YouTube very well. Yeah, if you want to see more League That Means Nothing content, check out the ways you can support the channel through Patreon in the link in the description box below over to the website. And until next time, we'll see you two all over again, hopefully with Ian. Ian will be back soon. We might also see another guest as well, casting in the meantime. Ian does a lot for this league, so send him the love that he deserves, and I'm sure he'll be back very, very soon. But in the meantime, you stuck with me and another potential guest coming up soon. See you soon. Cheers, folks. Goodbye.